So I'm not going to talk about Bitcoin and rollups. I'm going to talk about StarkNet governance. So as Ellie said, there was a bit of change of schedule. It was supposed to be 10 minutes, but you lucky ducks get 5 more minutes. So let's get on with it. So StarkNet is on the way to decentralization, and what I really want to talk about right now is the part of that decentralization that pertains about governance. So we're going to talk about where we are, where we're going, exactly what kind of fundamentals are around governance, what is being done, and where we're going. So to start off, the core tenets of the StarkNet roadmap have always been, first of all, have something that works, that's done. Then have something that is fast, this is currently where we are, and then have something that is running in a fully decentralized fashion where everyone can participate in consensus. This is where we're headed. But it doesn't mean that we can't start already thinking about how this decentralization should work, both at the protocol level and on the governance side. And this is actually what I really want to drill down about decentralization. It's both about the technical side of things, about the protocol, which is actually what Ilya is going to talk about tomorrow. Brilliant guy who wrote all the blog posts about exactly what StarkWare has in mind regarding decentralization at the protocol level. But what is also extremely important, just as important, is not only about participating in consensus, but how do you make sure that the community can choose what goes into production? What kind of things get included into an upgrade? What kind of things do we prioritize in the roadmap? And this is just as important as the first one. And that's the one part I really want to focus on today. In order to do this, to get to the decentralization final endgame for StarkNet, you need a neutral hub where these discussions can happen, where builders can coalesce, talk about things, agree and disagree. And this is why the Starknet Foundation was set up as a neutral ground, separate from StarkWare, where all the builders can come around that will provide the tools to educate people, a bit like what we've always seen for the other foundations in blockchain, like the Ethereum foundations or others. So it actually has a Twitter account with the same logo as the StarkNet one. And the StarkNet Foundation is now being set up, and you have different committees operating in different things. And one of these committees is the governance committee, of which I'm a part of. So right now it's 3 people. Devin Matthews from Nethermind, who is in charge of delegation, Menor Borelli, who's in charge of overall coordination of the project, and myself, who is managing the Builder Council, which I will talk a bit about later on. We have a very limited mandate. We're not employees of the Starknet Foundation. Our sole objective is to kick off governance during the first phases of its life. It's like, put something on the ground, see how it operates, and adjust as we go. The 3 tenets that we really wanted to have for this whole phase is, first of all, to have a gradual process. We really want to first test things on a very limited scope and expand it if we see that it works, so that we can adjust the trajectory. It means that we can stay experimental, we can stay nimble, we can try out new things, but always like step by step. We want everything to be open. We put out the blog posts a few months ago. All the discussions happen on the community forums. We try to be as transparent as possible. And this is actually where we really need the feedback from the community. So we're organizing discussions and workshops. We're actually having one of them tomorrow at 2 p.m. to answer any questions you may have, get your feedback about how it's going, what you're expecting about governance, absolutely everything. And the third tenet is responsibility. Just do something that makes sense. And that's about where we're headed at the moment. Following these 3 tenets, we've decided to go with a gradual approach with a first test of governance that is called the first phase. This first phase of governance will be the first time the Starknet community is going to talk about and choose what goes into production on StarkNet. So far, it was StarkWare who decided what went into production. Right now, we're going to be able to vote based on token voting whether or not we choose if something goes into production. The participants during that first phase of governance, because the token is not widely distributed, will be the token holders, the Builder Council, and the delegates. It will be off-chain voting, using snapshots, and the only thing that we're going to vote about during that first phase is specifically the protocol upgrade. So for instance, the first vote that is going to happen during February will be, does StarkNet 0.11 go into production, yay or nay? Part of this thing, in order to make sure that, let's say, the community gets training in governance, that we have a track record, and because the token is not widely distributed, we decided to include two things during that first phase. The first one is delegation. Token holders do not necessarily know, have the technical requirements to understand what needs to be voted on, and therefore they have the choice to delegate their voting power to anyone. This is what Devon is in charge of. So anyone can apply to become a delegate. If you want to be part of governance, if you want to voice your opinion, if you want to put yourself out there, put your foot in the door, go on the community forum, look for the delegate thread, and post your profile over there. This is one way for you to get involved in governance. And at any point in time, someone can apply to become a new delegate. The token holders can choose new delegates. This will be an ongoing process. Second part is the Builder Council. The Builder Council is, let's say, a voter block to which the foundation is going to delegate some of its voting power. So it's constituted of 17 builders that have some achievements in the community. So think of it as like one voters group, one block of delegates. And same thing as the governance committee, it has a very specific mandate. So at the end of the first phase, its mandate will be reviewed. This is not set in stone. Again, we're doing things gradually. So this is what we've done so far. Starknet Foundation was set up, the StarkNet token is out, we've launched the first phase, and the first thing that is going to happen in the coming weeks is voting on 0.11. So StarkNet has already put out a lot of resources about this. The Builder Council are getting together to discuss and voice their opinion about this. So this is exactly what is going to happen. The next phase of governance is still being worked on. Again, gradual process, responsible process, open process. What we really want to have is to expand governance beyond just protocol upgrades. We want people to be able to voice their opinion and vote on what gets included in the roadmap, what can maybe have more detail and fine-grained votes, not necessarily on full-on protocol upgrades, maybe just a snip. And of course, we're going to be experimenting with having a full-on governance hub where delegates can have better profiles, more detailed stuff. So this is basically where we're headed. And so we really need you to be involved in this. We're having a discussion tomorrow at 2 p.m., 2:30 p.m. I think. It's going to be outside with Manor and Devon. Come over, agree, disagree, voice your opinions, tell us what you expect from governance, ask any question that you want. It's a community, and it cannot be built without you. So any question, that's for tomorrow. Thank you very much.